Yum, everybody. Welcome to today's next session in the Quality Improvement Program. I'm going to be your host today. My name is Robbie Watson, and I will be presenting the cultural awareness and responsiveness. Just a little bit about me quickly is I'm a proud Gungahlin one-year man, which is in far north Queensland in the Gulf. I live down here on beautiful Awabakal country now for over 15 years, and my role within the PHN, it's called the First Nations Health Access Officer. That in a nutshell is just working with practices and also working with community and breaking down those barriers for them both. Today I've been asked by Karen and the team to present this, and I feel very honored to do that because I love my culture and everything about it, and ways to breaking down barriers for everyone to not only get the right health but for everyone to learn off each other. So hopefully you got a nice cup of tea of, well, I've got a cup of tea, but hopefully you got a coffee or whatever you're doing when you're viewing this. Hopefully you get a lot out of it. Just another thing too is this screen that's here now that I'm on, I'm going to turn it off. It's only because it's not obstructing the slides as we go through, just in case there's information there that you need to see or you want to dot point it down later. So let's get into it. Just before we go any further, I'd like to take this moment just to do an acknowledgement. I acknowledge and give my deepest respects to all the First Nations mobs on all the lands we meet, sit, and live on today. I'm tuning in from beautiful Awabakal country, so I commemorate and honour the elders for their strength and resilience. I congratulate and appreciate all the hard work our present brothers and sisters, aunties and uncles are doing to encourage and empower us to stay true and be deadly. And lastly, I wanted to express my admiration and respect for the journey of our youth today, who will not only be our future leaders, but will keep alive our memories and our beautiful stories. So what we'll be going through today is identifying key historical events and policies that impact First Nations communities. What is cultural safety? Engaging and building relationships with your First Nation clients. And lastly, develop a cycle of reviewing and maintaining cultural safety, awareness, and inclusiveness in your practice. Just quickly too, just showcasing our First Nations Health Access team here at the Primary Health Network. Christy Priestley, Josh Fuller, Alicia Wallace, Bree Foley, Karen Threw, and myself. The wealth of knowledge in this team is so good. Everyone gets along really well it's amazing too because we all come from different backgrounds, and I mean different countries around the place. But we've all got one goal in mind, is to get mob access, better access to healthcare, and not only for themselves but for like future generations. So it's nice to be in a group where everyone's on the same page with the common goal. And that's probably not even giving this team enough credit really, because there's probably not enough words I could say here. But this is our awesome team, deadly team as we mostly say. Yeah, and if you ever get a chance to meet anyone or give it time, to just have a bit of a chin wag with any of the team, I'm sure they'd be happy enough to have a yarn here. First Nations history and culture. So just before I refer to the 4 dot points here on the side, I just want to speak to this photo of Australia here with all the different colours and shapes. Not sure if everyone on this call has seen one of these maps before or have seen it, not I guess understood what it's all about. But all those different colours and shapes across this beautiful country of Australia are referring to the different clans or tribes or families that inhabited this country before colonisation. And I'll just refer to clans because that's just easy for me to remember. But with the research behind this map, they realised before colonisation there was up to 600 different clans across this beautiful country, with an estimated population of over 1 million people. And in that time, I guess life was all about movement as life, and you move with the seasons and your kingship with whoever's your neighbouring clan, or if anyone was passing through, you always share knowledge and you shared other resources if you could. It's all about survival, and having set sustainable ways to manage their society and their culture that ensured good health, connection to land, and respect for all other um, clans that pass through your country or your neighboring country. And why I'm saying that, all that different, that whole movement thing is all about, if you're moving all the time, I guess you're very, very healthy. And that was that lifestyle back then. And the population, like I said, was up to 600 different language groups. Everyone spoke about 200 different languages or dialect. And with that research of this map and other researchers, they realized that Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people have inhabited this country for well and truly over 65,000 years. That actually number is growing too, because with research gets better and better, so they can backdate it as far back now. But that's pretty incredible if you think about it. So we've been here for a long time, and we've been going very, very well. And colonization, you look back, and I know the number's quite big, but 200 plus years, that's not that long ago too. And you look about it, that's only 5 generations. That's me. That's 5 generations back. We're very young compared to other countries that have been well established, and we're still learning our ways. But the diet back then, was pretty simple. Everyone just ate because everyone was moving a lot. So you ate on the run. So obviously fish was a big one because a lot of the coastal mob were there. But any other animal meats to keep that balanced way of life. So lots of protein because of them moving a lot. Sicknesses were often environmental factors such as fire burns, skin irritation, snake bites, if that happened. Physical injuries due to like all the movement I said across this rugged terrain of beautiful Australia, but everything was treated with traditional ways or traditional methods. And I'm only giving you all that because just that, I guess it gives you a bit of that landscape or that foundation of when colonization happened. We lived very well, and obviously when colonization all happened, there's just a change of lifestyle for everyone, especially the diet, and obviously with that comes sicknesses and disease, segregation. I brought up the kingship before about with everyone passing through their country. Nothing belonged to anyone back there. Everyone realized that they're part of this country. We don't own it. Where now it's all about possessions. So all these things are different ways of thinking, different ways of interacting, and when you're segregated, everything changes. The way you interact, the way you move, the way even the way you think, even the way your health gets affected. In this next slide, I'm just going to talk a little bit about the stolen generation and all that movement and all the effects that this has had with all the communities across this country of Australia. Anyone on this presentation today has not heard of the wording stolen generation? Well, this was a government policy that was created and rolled out in 1910. The whole basis behind the policy which was called an assimilation policy, which was designed to integrate Indigenous children into white society. That target group was all Indigenous children of the mainland and also all the Torres Strait Islander children. The age bracket they were looking at was as young as 5 all the way to 15. The rationale behind this policy was the government was looking at it as our way of living is the right way, your way is not the right way. So we can teach these children how to really live. We can teach these kids how to be prosperous. We can teach these kids how to be healthy. We can teach these kids how to be social. So just to put it on everyone listening to this today, imagine as a parent or a carer of children, you're sitting at a community event and the authority figures that were on the ground rolling this out was the police officers, churches, and welfare officers. And there was never any consent with with the communities back then. So imagine you're all sitting there now at your, your family event in your community, and these authority figures rock up and they just start taking the children without telling you why, or you not knowing why. And that's for the kids as well. And I guess I just wanted to leave you with that, just to let you feel that, because that's how it was for mob back then. It was very frightening. It was scary. Um, families are getting torn apart because of the way they look. And as carers of children and a parent, I'm a father myself. I would have been trying to protect my children. And in those instances where you try to protect your children, you were getting shot because you were showing force against the law, or you're getting thrown into jail and put into a slave camp to do slave labor. So that's how it was back then when they rolled these out. So these children, when they got taken, they were put into foster care, missions, as they call, or any government-run institutions where they were forbidden to speak their languages and practice their cultural traditions. So that photo that's here on the side there, that's a mission that was run by the church. I guess removal of all these, of all these kids, it's a loss of their cultural identity, their disconnect from their family, and their just all their cultural knowledges and practices. The impacts on families were devastating, and their loss of their children was I guess it was a grief. It was grief for everyone. It was especially the parents, but also grief for the children as well. And this here, what I'm talking about right now, this is if anyone's heard of the word intergenerational trauma, well, this is where it all stemmed from. This is where it all stemmed from. This whole movement right now is where this all come from. And if you look when it stopped there, and that first dot point at the top there, you say 1910 and 1970. If you hear anyone saying like, "Oh, they just need to get over it," like it's happened so long ago. Well, it stopped there in 1970. I was born in 1981, and I still know at least 10 people in my community back where I'm from that still remember this, and they remember the pain for this, and they don't even know. There's two uncles up there that I call uncle. They don't even know where their mob's from. So the pain's still there. And if you ever hear that someone saying they just need to get over it, well, yeah, it's still very fresh in a lot of people's memory that are still alive today. And the psychological effects this has was enormous. Like not only physical, emotional, and a lot of these institutes weren't safe for these kids either. They were sexually abused in these places that were supposed to be safe. But fast forward a little bit to 97, the government were trying to fix this, what they've done. So they brought out this report called the Bringing Them Home Report document, which is a widespread impact of the stolen generation. Just showed it all, just showcased it, how bad it was. And in 2008, it was actually February of the 14th of February 2008, the Prime Minister at the time, named Kevin Rudd, he actually he did a formal apology to the stolen generation. So the trauma from the stolen generation continues to affect our communities today, with ongoing struggles over healing and recognition, and just with other impacts of our health along the way. There have been, it's all about reconciliation, but I guess what we're here today is to give you a bit of an understanding of why there's a bit of lots of distrust with organizations and other figures of the government, because this a lot of it stems from here. So just flowing on from the last slide to this one of intergenerational trauma, and like I touched base in the last one, this this grief or trauma, it's real today. It's felt. That's what intergenerational trauma means. It's passed down from generation to generation. And I guess on a good note, a little good note is like a lot of those kids that have grown up from that era, they found out that the government had diaries of each child when they were in that movement. So they got to track down their families if they were still alive and try to reconnect. But again, that the trauma's still there, like it's sad because a lot of these, there's just lots of mob out there that will never know and never reconnect with their country or their family. And it's like I said, there's 12 people from my community where I'm from, and I can name there's 2 old uncles that I talk to a fair bit, and they will never know where they're from, and it's sad because that's that identity. It's a big thing, in not only in culture but just in a person. That's your identity, who you are, how you walk through the world, and this gives you a bit of an understanding of when you're dealing with your First Nations clients when they come to you. Just this whole, through the intergenerational trauma, it comes trust as well. Like trusting an organization to go to is a big thing. And if you got elders coming to your practice and they feel safe there and they go back to their communities, because, excuse me, a lot of our elders have a big voice in our communities. So if they feel safe and they feel comfortable coming to your practice, they'll do all the hard work for you. They'll tell everyone in the community that that's a great place to go to. So it's all about walking together. It's all about healing together, and hopefully this helps you understand a little bit. Just to flow into now to the Mabo case. If anyone on this call doesn't know or heard of the Mabo case, it was a landmark Australian court decision that recognised Indigenous land rights and overturned the concept of terra nullius, that meaning land belonging to no one. So I guess back when in 1788, when settlers were acquiring land and building their crops and building their farms and townships, and obviously expanding more outside of Sydney, this law protected them. So because it meant land belonged to no one, so they could build all these townships and these farms and properties and fences, and most of the time a lot of this land was on sacred sites or dance ceremony sites or meeting places or mapping sites. So yeah, there was no legal, I guess, in our world we didn't have law. Like our law is traditional law, but this law was a different law. So fast forward to when Eddie Mabo and the people of Murray Island started to challenge this land belonging to no one, terra nullius. It went on and he took it to it went to High Court. When it eventually went to High Court in '92, the court favoured Eddie Mabo and recognised the people of Murray Island, that they're the traditional owners of that land that they live on up there in the Torres Strait. But the flow-on effect, once he won this, it started to open the door for lots of other people who lived on traditional land that they can, I guess, in a way, have a piece of paper to say that they're traditional owners of that land. And if you come here or if you want to do something up here, you need to ask for permission, or like you do with anywhere, you go to someone's house, you go in their fridge, you got to ask for permission. This is the same concept. So it's just another law that we didn't understand to begin with, but because of this case, it really opened the door for a lot of other families and communities out there. And my family, I guess we benefited greatly from this, because once this went through the High Court, we done our native title and we won it. And what that means for us up there is we stopped mining companies coming into our country and mining. so the country doesn't lose its integrity, the ecosystem gets to stay as it is. No one can go up there and overdevelop, just start building buildings for no reason or whatever. This protects that. This protects the ecosystem. And also protects our culture for hopefully another 65,000 years. And that's what this all stems from. This one case, and it's a milestone for Indigenous people in Australia. It acknowledges the historical injustice and legal rights of Indigenous communities and of the ancestral land. So it's a massive step in the right direction, as well as being able to understand how the system works as well. Flowing on now from the short video there from Emma Garlett, and the way we're portrayed in the media is it's very, as you can see, it's not nice, but it's still out there. That stigma is still out there, and doesn't help when you've got, I guess, the narrative's controlled by those big media outlets. But as practitioners, that's what we're here to learn today. So this is a good flow into the cultural awareness and responsiveness to this part of the presentation. So what is cultural awareness and responsiveness for First Nations people, and what does it mean for your practice going forward? Well, those two words, cultural awareness, get thrown around a lot, and especially in a lot of media outlets. It does get watered down, but the meaning behind it and what it means for First Nations people, and I'll give you from my lens for today's presentation, it's an understanding and respecting of cultural differences and values, beliefs and practices. I guess showing that empathy, for things that like I've said earlier in this presentation, those few things that have happened over the timeline, they're just a couple of things that have happened. There are so many more. So there's always this, and you can see, like the video showed before, there's always a stereotype around the way we're viewed, the way we are represented in this country. And it just needs to be a bit of empathy then, just a little bit of a softness. Effective communication is going to be your key. And that's like with anything, but adapting to language and non-verbal cues and avoiding miscommunication across culture. And to be honest, you're going to make mistakes here, especially if you've got a new client coming to you who's from the community. You're not going to know everything. But if you keep that communication open, and if you do offend someone, or there's something that's mispronounced, just be apologetic, be soft in your approach, and that'll just build that whole rapport. It'll build that trust with yous. And self-awareness for yourselves as practitioners, just having that, knowing that you're not going to know everything, and it's okay to not know everything. And I think that's the best way you'll get more out of your First Nations clients, because you're creating that, I guess, that inclusive environment where it values diversity and ensures equal participation from everyone's backgrounds. And that's what you're trying to do. And for me, those things I just said, that's what cultural awareness is. And if you've got an elder that's elders or an elder coming from the community, and they've been here a couple of times, well, they're actually going to be your biggest voice in the community. Like I've mentioned earlier, they've got a big voice in community, so they will go back and they will communicate that very well, and they'll, they come into a place that doesn't show discrimination. There's no racism here, and you're getting the right care, and there's a duty of care as practitioners. But if you've got that environment where people feel safe, they're going to keep coming back. So here at the PHN, the First Nations Health Access Team has lots of resources for practices to create this inclusive environment for your First Nations clients that come to you. One of those resources that we have are little desk flags that either can be displayed on your front reception desk or in your offices where you're doing assessments. So we thought as a team, we'd just give you a bit of a background story on each of these flags. That way it's just, if anyone asks, or it's just some knowledge for yourself, as we keep learning and moving together. But I want to start today with the Torres Strait Islander flag. I've got two little brother boys holding it up for me there. So thanks, fellas. So you can see the green at the top and the bottom there. That represents the land on the islands. The blue represents the sea that surrounds the islands. The black lines there that separate the blue and the green, that represents the beautiful people of the Torres Strait. The Waidari, that's a headdress that sits on traditional dances. They wear that, when they do either dancing for welcome ceremonies or sorry business or family, like I guess any other celebrations like weddings, they will wear this. The star that you see there underneath has the 5 points. That represents all the islands that are up in the Torres Strait, and it symbolizes peace. Onto the Aboriginal flag now. So as you can see there in the photo, the red on the bottom, that represents the land and our spiritual connection to country. The yellow in the middle, which is shaped as a sun, that's the giver of life. And the black that you see on the top, that's all the First Nations people across this country. And what these two flags do is they are unity flags. They actually symbolize and represent us as people as whole, and it gives us that whole sense of belonging and whole sense of being a part of something bigger, but unified through both flags. Another thing for your practice too, to create that inclusive environment is we thought we'd give you some significant dates that you can have, and you can celebrate these in your place of business or your practice to showcase to your First Nations clients that you understand or of these days and the meaning behind it. So the first one there is the 30th of February 2008. This is when I said earlier, the Prime Minister at the time, Kevin Rudd, apologised to the Stolen Generation on this day. So this was called National Sorry Day. On the 3rd of March is National Close the Gap Day. I'm pretty sure Karen would have covered this in her presentation. So this is always done on the 3rd of March of every year. Organisations come together to create awareness around First Nations health crisis. 21st of March is Harmony Day, celebrates Australian culture and all diversity backgrounds, just respect and the sense of belonging for everyone. The 26th of May is National Sorry Day. That's again removal of all the children in that Stolen Generation period. So from the 27th of May to the 3rd of June, this is called Reconciliation Week, another massive milestone in our history as Australia. It's the anniversary of the 1967 referendum and the High Court decision for the Mabo case. The first week of July, most of you might know or have heard of, it's called NAIDOC Week. So this week celebrates, I guess, not only the history of our beautiful history in our culture, but it's also celebrating of all the achievements that we've done up until that point and all the milestones that we've managed to have businesses or even just have homes, but also still celebrating and keeping our ways and culture. The 4th of August is a National Children's Day for First Nations mob. It's the largest day to celebrate First Nations children. And the first Wednesday in September is Indigenous Literacy Day. I'm a big advocate for this day. It fundraises for remote communities and equal literacy resources. So I'm from a very remote community. I always donate to this day because I feel that the more we can get mob educated in both sides of the fence, that being our culture, but also learning the ways of mainstream as well, I think we just have a better understanding of where we're going and how can we help for everyone to walk in the same directions. So hopefully these days help. It's just another chance for you to create that inclusive environment within your practice. So every time a First Nations patient comes in, they see you celebrating this, or they see you doing something around these weeks or these days, it just creates that positive feedback and environment for everyone. So with that safe environment that you're going to create, from maybe showing those significant dates or your resources, or even having that sense of active listening and effective communication, that'll come with people feeling, I guess, a sense of belonging, and then they're going to feel valued when they come to your place of business. The respect's going to be there. They're going to feel respected, and they know they're going to be heard because they're going to be taken, I guess, seriously, and with anyone who feels like they're got control of their health, they're going to be empowered. And when someone's empowered, that's really, I mean, that's paramount to someone's health journey. And when they're included in the decision, so if they're the center of the care, like this all stems from that empowerment, and just not having their identity challenged. There might be somewhere else where they've gone before you, and and they've had that challenge, because sometimes it just happens, I guess, and or the way it's been worded. But if you've got all those things that we've said before that create this safety and this cultural safety in your environment, well, then all these dot points that are on the screen right now, it's very, very powerful. And this person whoever this patient is in their community or wherever they sit, they're going to have a voice back there, and they're going to be an advocate for you to go back and say, I've gone to this practice. They're really good. We need to go there. Don't go to the other one. Come to this one, because it only takes a couple in the community to have that voice, and you can have mob coming to you all the time. And I guess when mobs come to you all the time too, I guess you need to understand like ways of doing that. So what is cultural safety or general practice? And that is it's just staff is more welcoming. It's that I guess it's the way you interact. Then like in the video you showed earlier, there's just not having that prejudice or lens on every time a First Nations patient comes in. Just understanding those systematic barriers that they're already facing, even just to get there. Just all that stuff we've just covered before. If we can do that now, you're going to have a better interaction and a more inclusive environment, like I've already said. Just another thing the team wanted me to share with everyone on this presentation today is just all the movement around acknowledgements and welcome to countries, and who can perform and who can't. A welcome to country, as it says there on the screen, they can only be performed by traditional owners from that land. Like today, when I did started this presentation, I did acknowledgement of country. Anyone can do that. I'm not a traditional owner from a Wabikal. I'm not from this country down here, but I can acknowledge the country and the people on that land. So that's what I did for you today when I started this presentation. If that kind of simplifies it for you, so if you're not from that area, that's just another way of just showing your respect to the people of that country, and then how you do it is totally up to you. The one I did today, I did that from the heart. There are generic ones. You can start by, I just like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land that we sit and live on today. I pay my respects to elders past, present, and emerging. So that's a very generic one, as an example. But the one I did today, I did that because that's just my way of speaking and the way I acknowledge the people of that country that I'm on. Just to showcase where I was referencing a lot of my, I guess, content from today was from the National Scheme of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander Health Strategy that came out in 2020 to 2025. There was a lot of that was for practices, general practices, and any allied health provider. The Mabo case that I touched on earlier, that came from the Australian Institute of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander Studies, and all the information and content that we got really came from the the studies from that institute as well. After today's session, you'll receive an email to complete a survey. If you could please take the time to just answer a few questions. It's just more around the way we can improve the way we deliver these sessions and what more you can get out of it as a general practice. Another thing too, if I haven't covered everything in the presentation day, which I probably wouldn't have because there's a lot to cover, but if you need to know more, please visit our website for more information. We have lots of resources there that could help your practice. We have fact sheets, we have videos, we have other material that we can print out, or we can link you up with anyone in the Who's the Who, or if not, we can find someone. So yeah, don't be afraid to visit our website, check it out. Again, I'd just like to say thank you for tuning in today. It's been a real honor to do this for the team. Hopefully you got a lot out of it. Hopefully I've answered a lot of your questions, and I know there's a lot I haven't covered because I've only got a set amount of time to do that, but hopefully this is enough for you to know. And like I said, if you need any more information or want to know more, don't be afraid to visit our website. Thank you for your time. Enjoy the rest of your day, and hopefully I might see you in another presentation. Yulu.